Psalms 144. I don't think I've ever preached out of the book of Psalms. I just heard Dr. Hiles recently saying the older he got, the more he preached out of Psalms, because Psalms helped you to love people and to love God and to love the things of God. And he said the older he got, the less he preached on hell. And he said when he was a young preacher, he preached all the time on hell and damnation. And as he gets older, he preaches less and less on it. And I thought that was kind of funny. But I was reading, and these two verses really popped out at me. And we're going to read it. Psalms 144, verses 11 and 12. We'll read them together. I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about strange children. Strange children. And we'll get into it a little bit later and see how it turns out. Psalms 144, verse 11 and 12, it says, "Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speak vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. That our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones, polished after the similitude of a palace." And let's pray. Father, I thank you for your word. It's everything to us. Without a Bible, we have no faith. Without our faith, we have no salvation. Without your word, we have no hope. And with no hope, there is no reason to go on living. And yet you've given it all to us in a book that you tell us in John, a book that is living, a book that is powerful, a book that is composed of you. That you are the Word. And I pray that we get something from it tonight, and that you'd work through these verses to help our families, to help our young people, and to be a help to us, that we would please you with our lives and everything that we do. Amen. Strange children. I've met a lot of strange children. Some of them in our youth department right now as we speak. We could probably call them up for an illustration on the platform. But I have found that most of the time, the strange children turn out to be the best. Well, maybe not most of the time, but sometimes. And some of you have strange children at home. That's not what this is talking about here. Just as a comparison, the book of Proverbs mentions several times the strange woman. The strange woman. And the strange woman in the book of Proverbs is not necessarily talking about a woman, although, yes, it does apply to that, and quite drastically applies that way. But a strange woman is anything that takes you away from who you're supposed to be with. And I remember having a class on that, or one of the days in our class was on that, and it really helped me in my life. And so that I've talked about several times with the young people and the teenagers. And then I was reading through here, and the phrase strange children popped out to me. No, that's strange. No, not because it says strange, but it's just strange. Why does God talk about strange children? I started to think about it and think about other verses and other stories and their place in the Bible, and I began to realize from the beginning of time, Satan has tried to get our children. He has. From Adam and Eve's first sons, Satan got one of them. His goal is, if he can get your children and pull them away from the will of God, he has achieved something that God does not want to happen. Satan will use whatever means necessary to keep your children from having a passion for God. He'll use whatever tool, whatever means, whether it's good or bad, to keep your children from serving God. Doesn't matter what it is. He might use money. He might use work. He might use business. He might use power. We got all these things in the past that we've gone through, but more and more our world is becoming vile and more sinful. And the average young person has become less passionate about things. We're not talking about passion about God. We're just talking about passionate in general. We're talking about they have no passion to do anything. You ask them, what are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. That they have no dreams, no desires, and that's very normal in the world that we live in. And more evil and wickedness has crept into our world and turned the hearts of our young people away from a cause greater than themselves and turned them to their own cause. The devil's always done this. It's been his goal. He knows if he can get the young people, then the young people will grow up to be adults that will not train their children to have a cause greater than themselves. And the domino effect happens from then on, and the world will become a place that has no passion for anything, let alone a passion for God. These children have been tempted by so many things. They've been tempted by power, by wealth, by immorality, by alcohol, by popularity, by friends, by jobs, by lifestyles, by styles in general that we like to adapt ourselves to. All sorts of things have been tempting our children for years and years and years. But there was always a place where these things were fought against. There was always a sanctuary. There was always a place you could come to and bring your family to where you knew these things would be fought hard against. They'd be pushed away. They would be taught against. And it would be a place of refuge from these things, and that is the church. Church has always been that refuge. It's always been a place where you could come and you know your kids are going to be around good kids. You're going to be around good families. You're going to be around good people. There isn't going to be the filthiness of the world there. There isn't going to be the wickedness of the world there. No, there is, and you understand that. There are sinners here at church just like anywhere else, and there's people growing, different stages of growth here at our church, just like any other church. But in Psalms 144:11, the Bible mentions strange children, and it mentions the results of these strange children. And I worry a little bit that we, as parents, have not only allowed these strange children to influence our young people, but we have actually brought them into our home purposely. Today I had chapel with the teenagers. We talked about the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, and how the devil works very wily to get into places and to make things that are wrong sound very right and make things that are bad sound very good. And you've seen that in the world around you. The billboards portraying alcohol and wrong lifestyles is very attractive, and that's because the devil is very subtle in these things. But Satan, I think, he's used all these other things. He's used immorality, he's used wrong friends, he's used alcohol, he's used drugs, he's used tobacco, he's used power, he's used wealth, he's used all these things to try and get people, but I think he has found something that he can actually get us to bring into our churches and into our Christian homes that are far worse than a lot of these other things that he has used. Look at verse number 12. Verse number 12, Psalms 144, verse 12. The results of these strange children that the Bible is talking about is twofold. Number one, verse number 12, these strange children, if they are not around, it says that our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth. I thought that was a great phrase. There is nothing better than seeing a young man who is a mature, grown-up young man. You've seen that. There's a huge difference in young people across the board. Some of them are extremely immature, and some of them are very mature, surprisingly mature, and it has nothing to do with age. Nothing at all. You might have a 7th grader, you think, wow, he's a very mature young man. I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about spiritually. Just as a young man. He's very mature as being a man, and doing what's right, and being serious about life, and not having to joke around and goof around all the time. Very mature. And he says that if these strange children are taken away, or he says, rid me and deliver me from the hand of these strange children, if that happens, it says, then your sons will be as plants grown up in their youth. And that's what we want. We're learning about, I think it was John Adams, it was a while ago. I think it was John Adams' son. Now, if you're a history buff and I'm wrong, don't tell me either. Just let me think I'm right. I think it was John Adams' son at 14 or 15 was assigned as an aide to the ambassador of Russia. I thought that was amazing. What 14-year-old today is going to be assigned as an aide to the American ambassador to any country whatsoever? Life doesn't happen that way anymore. There is a maturity level that was forced upon our young people hundreds of years ago in early American history and earlier in the world. Different civilizations, different cultures had this. And it was very, very, very mature young people were able to do great things with their lives because they matured in their youth. And we wonder, we look around, we say, how come there are no young people determining in their youth and planning in their youth and working in their youth to go out and do something great for God? We're getting a bunch of young people in college, Bible college, graduating from Bible college, who have no desire whatsoever to do anything for God. And I think, I wonder what causes that. And then I read this and I thought, you know what? Our sons are not growing up in their youth. They're growing up in their late 20s or in their 30s or in their 40s or in their 50s. We live in a time where young men live at home with their parents until they're 40 or 50 years old, where we get 25, 26, 27, 35, 36, 37-year-olds sitting at home playing video games all day. They can't get a job because they stay up all night playing video games and they sleep in and miss work, so they get fired. I wonder what these strange children are that have influenced our young people so much. Now, I'm not saying just because young people are immature that they've been influenced by these strange children, because we all know that is not the case. But I do know it has had an impact on our society. And I think it's having an impact on our youth department. First of all, we have young men who refuse to grow up. They're extremely immature. Second of all, the end of verse number 12, that our daughters may be as cornerstones, polished after the similitude of a palace. Sounds here that our daughters are to be raised to be the thing that holds their home together. That stable and secure cornerstone that is so important in the building of any type of structure. But because of these strange children, we have unstable, insecure young women who do not have the stability to hold anything together. They flit around from place to place. They are not content at home, as the book of Proverbs talks about the young lady who will not, her feet abide not in her house. And once again, it's the strange children who more than likely are at fault. We've allowed these strange children to infiltrate our home and our churches. The problem is not with our children. The problem is with these strange children that we have brought into our home. Who in the world are these strange children? Verse number 11 describes what these strange children are. Verse 11 says, "Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity." I started thinking about that. I started looking in our home, my home. Started looking, because I listen to your teenagers talk. I love listening to them talk. I get all sorts of sermon illustrations from it. And they have no idea you're listening. And you just sit there and listen. Pretty soon you hear somebody talking about this, and somebody talking about this, and we did this, and we went here, and we watched this, and we listened to this, and this, oh, have you seen this person, this actor, or whatever? And you hear all sorts of things talked about when young people get together and talk. But the strange child, strange children, the strange child is anything that pushes vanity and tells you that the unimportant things of life are of great value. What a vain world we live in today, don't we? Whatever you're around, whether you're at the grocery store or sitting at home watching TV, the hair is pushed. The makeup is pushed, the clothes are pushed, the styles are pushed, the lifestyles are pushed, the lust and desire for nice things are pushed. You watch anything and it's, you've got to look just right if you're going to be acceptable in the world around us. How vain is that? Go to the book of Ecclesiastes and vanity of vanities. You get the guy who their hair has to be styled just right or they cannot leave the house. You get the certain style of clothing. I was making fun of some teenagers today. They got the lanyard hanging out of the pocket. It's the tail. I call it the tail. And nothing wrong with it. It's just I think it's funny. Sorry if some of you men have a lanyard hanging out of your pocket. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of your teenagers. It's a style. It definitely is a style. There are styles all around that we have. I remember when the flat-billed hats first started coming in. And I remember thinking, those look so stupid. Now everybody wears them. No, just a style just comes in and it becomes the norm. Hardly anybody wears the curved ball cap anymore. They don't do it. There's all sorts of styles. You get the fat ties, and then you get the skinny ties, and then you get the pants sagging way down, which that's still in, and then you get the skinny jeans. You get the tight jeans, and you get the tight pants. You get the skinny dress pants. I don't know how you get your feet into them. I really don't. There's all sorts of styles that come and go as the days go by. But I wonder, how does that creep into our Christian homes?
All right. Well,
you say, well, there's nothing wrong with it. No, but it is strange. How does it creep in? How does the worldly hairstyle and the excessive makeup and the excessive style of clothing, how does all that infiltrate our Christian homes that are supposed to be separate, that are supposed to be peculiar, that are supposed to be different from the rest of the world? How does it get in? I don't think you sit your children down and discuss styles and topics and hair and makeup and say, no, this is what we're going to do, and if you really want to look cool, you can do this, my son, or you can do this, my daughter, and you could wear this extra makeup and put the extra shadow on the eyes so that all you see walking up are eyes. I don't think you sit down with the young people, so I wonder who does. Who does? I think most of your kids' friends are here at church. I think most of your kids have good friends. I think we've got a pretty good group of young people here. I think you need to look at your home and ask yourself, what is in my home that constantly, consistently pushes vanity, that teaches unimportant things are the most valuable in life? What is it? I'm not going to tell you what it is. What occasional activity has become the nightly routine in our Christian homes? Number 2, verse 11 says, rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity. First of all, vain things come from these strange children. They speak vanity. Nothing that they say is of any worth. And their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Number 2, what is in your home that uses falsehood or lies to pull your child away? You say, away from what? Away from anything. Away from you, away from God, away from right, away from good, away from decency, away from standards, away from convictions, away from morality, away from Christianity, away from church. What is it that is in your home that we have brought into our homes? I'm talking about my home too. I'm not talking about just yours. We don't have the perfect home either. But we get so many lies told to our kids that it will make them happy by living in the world. It will make them happy to be immoral, and that immorality is actually okay as long as you're in love with the person. Living together is okay as long as you have an agreement. Lying is okay as long as it's for a good cause. And church isn't really that great. What is it in your home that teaches these things to your children? I was asking myself these things, thought, what is the one thing in the Christian home that is almost in every home a daily activity that pushes and teaches vanity and that promotes lies and falsehood to our children? You see, I think in most cases, you're not going to change. I think you adults, I've heard adults say it, and I don't agree with it. I've heard them say, well, I see this stuff, or I hear this stuff, and it doesn't bother me. It does. It does affect you. It does influence you. I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about your children. I'm worried about your young people. I'm worried about our youth department being what it was 20 years ago. I'm worried about our young men growing up and actually having a desire and a passion to do something for God. And I don't know what is sucking that passion out of our young men and our young ladies, but it's there. And it's very visible. You got to ask yourself, what is it? What is it in your home that does this? I think a lot of us need to clean house. You need to get rid of the thing that you're thinking of right now. Probably need to get rid of the internet too, or lock it up good and tight and don't let your kids on it. And then you need to start putting good things into your kids' lives. Now, today in chapel talked about a balance. And I'd like to challenge you adults to add up your hours of entertainment and add up your hours of Bible and compare the two. And then ask yourself, why do we have no young people with a strong desire to go into the ministry? Now we do. I'm not saying we have no young people, but for the majority, young people in the average church have no desire whatsoever to do anything for God. So you can tell when the average conversation at church revolves around the newest TV shows. Oh, I said it. I don't think the normal conversation of a Christian should involve something as vile and wicked as what we've brought into our homes. So, well, I can control it. No, you're desensitized. You say, well, it's not that bad, it doesn't affect me. Maybe not, but it's affecting your kids, and we can tell. There's a spirit that comes around a young person that is not a grown-up spirit. There's a spirit that surrounds the young ladies who have been engulfed in the TV, television, movie world. The entertainment world, I should say. It's not a good spirit. It is not. I wonder how important your kids are to you. They're probably the most important thing in the whole world. I believe that. I think there's a very subtle serpent who has convinced us that things are okay when they are very far from being okay. When immorality is accepted in the homes of Christians, as we see on a day-to-day basis, meeting people who go to supposedly good Christian gospel preaching churches, when crudeness and vulgarity is on the lips of our young people, I just want to ask, Mom and Dad, where do they get it from? Now, I honestly think some of you parents, you don't even catch it. It's so, you're around in business, you're around at work, it comes out of that box. That's not a box anymore, it's a flat screen of some kind. It comes out and you don't even catch it, your kids do. And we're allowing our kids to soak in it. And it is destroying our children. And young people are growing up very immaturely. Our young ladies are not growing up to be secure Christian young ladies. It's a struggle, and it's a battle, and it's not anything that we can do here at church. But I do think there's something you can do at home. The Bible says, wherewithal shall the young man cleanse his ways? It's by taking heed thereto according to thy word. I'm not saying get rid of your TV, although it wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm saying you need to put some restrictions on it. Your TV probably shouldn't be a nightly activity with the family. The internet should not be available for your child to sit down and watch whatever videos come up. And that is a regular activity in our young people's lives. And parents, no matter how careful you are, They're watching them on their phone. You have no idea what they're watching. None at all. No, I repeat very famous words of our preacher. You're crazy. You are crazy. Now, dads, look, I know there's pride inside of a man, and I probably have more of it than most people do. It's very hard to go home and say, you know what, we're going to stop doing this right now, because the devil tries to convince you that everybody's going to look at you, oh yeah, you're just doing it because, the preacher said something about it. And you're going to let that fear influence you into not saying anything. Look, I think your kids are worth it. I do. I think they're worth it. I think they're worth it. Plus, never mind, can't go into it anymore. I really worry. I worry about your young people. I pray for your young people, especially the ones that I see struggling. And it's very evident that a lot of young people struggle. I think one of the things that would help more than anything else is to take those strange children out of their life, so that your young person can start to mature spiritually and become the young person that's going to make you very proud of them in their life and not bring heartache to you. And that's what we want. That's what we want at our church. We want Christian homes that are like Christian homes, not worldly homes that come to church to show off their cute little Christian family. We don't want that. And I hurt for your young people. And I don't blame anybody. It's everybody's home. It's my home. It's your home. It's everybody's. But if we're not careful, the devil is more subtle than any other creature. And he will slip it into your home, no matter how careful you are. So every once in a while, you got to go back to the book of Romans. And you got to do some renewing. And you got to make things new again. Renew decisions, renew things that you do in your life. And if you can do that, I promise you, you're having problems with some of your teenagers, turn off the TV, take away their video games, and give them a book published before 1950. None of this modern garbage. You say, well, they won't like it. Oh, there's a lot of good books. There's a whole lot of good books. If they want a list, I've got a reading list for age groups in my office. I think the front office has it too. Just come up and get it. And your kids aren't going to like you for it, but you're not their parent to be liked. You're their parent to rear your children. And I really, where I'm not telling you how to raise your kids, but I worry for them. And I do know that they're getting harmed by the worldliness, by the inconsistency, by the lies, by the vanity that's creeping into their lives. It's like soaking in a bathtub filled with junk. It's gonna get to them eventually. You get them to soak in something that's good, that's gonna clean them up a whole lot too. Do it. Just do it. I told the teenagers month of July, we're gonna have for the teens a no TV month. No TV, no movies, no videos, no VHS, no videos on their phone. You have to clarify everything. And they don't have to do it. They don't have to do it. But if they do it, we're going to have an awards trip for them at the end for free, no cost, because they did such a good job in car wash. We have a little bit of money. We can promote some things like this. But parents, please make your kids do it. Make your kids do it. Say, well, they'll hate me. No, they won't. They might have a bad attitude for a while, but they'll get over it. Make them do it. You know, it'd be even better if you did it with them. I was thinking about doing it. I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I asked some teenagers about it, and they said, oh, it'd be impossible. I said, okay, we're doing it. Just the fact they said it'd be impossible, I thought, you need this. But really, I think our kids are getting influenced by way too much. It's the strange children in our homes, and not your young people, but that other stuff that's influencing them. It's wreaking havoc. And we want your kids to turn out right. And you folks that don't have kids, we need you to pray for our young people. We need you to put them on a prayer list. We need you to look at them on Sunday mornings or Wednesdays in the teen choir and just pray. Pray that God moves in their lives and their hearts. And we've got a great youth department. And we want to keep it that way. And to do that, we got to keep things right at home. And that's you. That's your decision. It's not between me and you. It's just you, whatever you want to do. But there is damage and harm that comes from it, and we see it in the lives of some young people. And we want that damage to be reversed. And the only way I know of it is to shut it off and soak in the Word of God. And nobody said your young person's going to enjoy it, but it will be a help to them. Father, I thank you for our church. I thank you for all you've done for us. I know there's a lot of exciting things coming up this summer, especially with the young people. And the reason we have those exciting things are for the sake of you working on their hearts, getting decisions made, and decisions set in stone about some things. And God, we really want you to work through the preaching, through the singing, through all the events that we have going on, so that young people will decide to follow you. That no matter what you say, no matter where you say to go, they're ready to go. Pray to be with them. Pray to be with the parents, that you give them wisdom and discretion in knowing what is best and what is good for the young people. And I pray that you'd help them to make wise decisions, so that we would have a next generation of young people who will help serve in our church the way that their parents have and their grandparents have. God, we need them. Without them, we die. We need you to work in their hearts, Lord. Amen. You can be dismissed. If you could stay, just come up to the platform real quick to help move some of this stuff around.